Welcome to the Maria Heller Show, on the net since 2000 and still going strong. If you feel like you're not getting the real news, if you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you have found your home. Maria covers a wide range of topics as only a snarky New Yorker can. Straight up, no chaser. No censorship, no corporate sponsors, thus true freedom of speech. Your subscription gives you unlimited access as a member of the smartest audience on earth. Relax and enjoy the education. Now here's Maria.
Good morning, world. Maria here, alive and kicking. I should call this show continuous of Planet of the Apes, but today is my special guest, my friend, somebody that's been doing this work actually longer than I have, none other than Bev Conover of IntrepidReport.com. If you haven't supported her work, please do, because her work is excellent and deserves it. Well, good morning and Happy New Year, Bev.
Oh, good morning to you. Happy New Year, too.
I see you still laughing from before the phone call laughing. Bev, I got to tell you, in 71 years of life on this planet, I have never seen anything like this sore loser, crazy man that's in office.
Maria, we have been building to this for more years than I care to say. And when I would try to tell people, you know, they would give me that peculiar, well, she's crazy look.
Right.
Or they would tell me not to worry, everything's going to be all right. Well, it's not all right. And as some of the pundits are pointing out, and correctly, even though we probably get rid of Trump come the 20th, the next one who pulls this will be successful.
Exactly.
And that's
well,
what people have got to start worrying about and start doing something about.
Well, you know, you see a lot of people saying that the laws need to be changed so that we never get stuck with a criminal like this in office again. But, you know, I've been hearing that as long as I've been hearing, you know, let's get rid of the Electoral College.
Yes, the Electoral College should go, not as some Republicans want, that then the Congress will do the choosing, that they don't like the way the vote went. No, the vote's got to go to the people. Yes, the Electoral College must go. But, I mean, just look what's happening here. It's not just Trump. It's all these others. I mean, they're threatening they're going to kill people, for goodness sakes.
I know. Well, you know, it's interesting.
That Gohmert, Louis Gohmert of Texas, of course, he's not playing with a full deck. Now he's trying to take back that he said that.
Right. They
say this is not funny. I mean, I'm sorry. I have to keep laughing or I'll go insane. But what's coming out of these mouths, what they're planning to do tomorrow, and God knows what they're planning to do on the 20th. It's awful.
I know. Well, I mean, when they have to keep calling the National Guard into D.C. because of his armed, threatening supporters, I mean, even after the election, we're still going to be stuck with those lunatics.
And as much as I don't like Mitch McConnell, and I'm not particularly wild about Nancy Pelosi, both of their homes were vandalized. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? You know, if you think back to when George W. was put in the White House by the Supreme Court, there was a man out in California who went to his gym, was a member of some gym out there, and made some remark about how he'd like to harm Bush. That guy was grabbed immediately by the Secret Service.
Exactly.
These people, they're members of Congress and everything, that are putting out all these wild threats, and nothing is happening to them for it. No. Could you imagine if you and I said just 1% of what they're saying, what will be done to us?
Oh, yeah, we'd have the FBI at our doors. That's without question.
God, not just the FBI, but the Secret Service.
Exactly. Well, look at the Secret Service. I understand that Biden is going to put in a whole new team of Secret Service because the Secret Service.
Well, yeah, they're a little bit nervous about it.
Well, I mean, you can't blame them since these Secret Service have been so loyal to Trump, even catching COVID to give him a drive around after he was in the hospital.
God.
I mean, every day it's something new with this lunatic. And how about his...
Mary Trump is trying to tell people, you and I should know because we lived in New York, in the New York area. All right, maybe we didn't realize how bad he was at the time, but I mean, we knew he wasn't much.
Right.
We knew he kept getting away with nonsense. I can even remember, I don't know, was he forced to sell that yacht when he had to almost declare personal bankruptcy that time?
Right.
And they put him on a budget.
Right.
Because he had a yacht built down here. Then he fought with the state of Florida because he didn't want to pay the sales tax on it.
Right.
I mean,
well, you got to look at...
How many people remember that? I remember it.
Of course. I mean, the guy's been a criminal his whole life. I mean, he's going to leave office owing probably $1 million at least in unpaid fees for his rallies. And I mean, what recourse will the states have on that? Bev, I'm hearing a whistle on your phone.
Not again.
I know, but I'm hearing a whistle there, and it only seems to happen when you're talking. Let me give you a call right back, see if we can get rid of it. Okay?
All right.
Okay. Hopefully we got that fixed somewhat. Anyway, Bev, these Republicans that want to contest the election even at this late date, would you say that they're guilty of sedition?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
So,
when you look up the definition of sedition, yes.
All right.
But I wish people would stop throwing the word treason around.
Right.
Because treason, you have to be at war with somebody, etc. But sedition, yes, this is definitely a sedition.
Right. Well, I mean, why are the Democrats sitting on their hands and not doing anything to stop this? Do you think
they're not much better than the Republicans? You know that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying why not impeach Trump again? And I mean, why does the NAACP have to ask for an investigation on his phone call to Raffensperger?
Other than preventing him from running for office again. You got 2 weeks left. I mean, how can you impeach him that quickly? And even if you did, and he's not convicted of it, he can run for office again.
I mean, it's just nuts that no one has been able to stop
Why
him.
didn't they throw him out when they first impeached him?
Right.
I mean, they all knew what he was.
Right. Well, even Ralph Nader, I got it off your site, once again, IntrepidReport.com. Ralph Nader wrote a whole list of things they should have used as cause for impeachment against him instead of what they did.
And Nancy Pelosi picked the weakest thing to use.
Right. So you think she did that deliberately?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, now she got her fourth term as the speaker. I don't even know how she pulled that off. A lot of people are saying it's because she said it would be her last session. I mean, this woman's been in Congress for 34 years. What is she going to do different?
She, like many of them, if they're not tools of the money people, they're stuck in their thinking. And when you get people like Alexandria Cortez, what's her name?
Right. AOC, we'll call her AOC.
They are looking at what we're dealing with, and they're looking at the future. Mm-hmm. And they understand what we have to do. We've never had this country. We throw this word democracy around. What democracy?
Right.
We've never really had it.
Right.
Now, maybe if we can do some changing of thinking here, we can get it.
Well, but you see how they sideline the progressives, even within their own party. And yet, so you have somebody, I mean, that girl literally could become a rock star in politics. She terrorizes Trump and every man in the GOP. And yet they sideline her. And it's the same thing they do with Bernie, that they did with Bernie in 2016, and the same thing they did now. What's the option? And then I read, though, that the squad, as, they call them, actually went along with Pelosi becoming speaker again.
What can I say?
I know, it's an incredible time. So let's get back to the 18 calls that Trump made, because obviously he can't take a hint. If somebody doesn't call me back after 18 messages, I figure they're dead to me, okay? And then Rathensberg...
That wasn't a joke?
No, it wasn't a joke.
I know Stephen Colbert last night had a little thing about that.
Well, yeah.
I thought he was making a joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. He called 18 times, and then I guess on the 19th time, Rathensberg, however the hell you pronounce his name, probably decided, well, let me take the phone call and record it. Now Trump is suing him for recording the phone call.
Trump's not going anywhere with that suit.
No, because I understand, I could be wrong, but I understand that, you have that one party recording in the state of Georgia.
Yes, as long as one party knows about the recording, it's legal.
All right. So,
Here in Florida, it would be illegal, but that's another issue. But in Georgia, it's legal. That's sure but Trump knows nothing.
Right, he doesn't know a thing.
And he can't help it. There's nothing there.
Well, everybody from his niece on down has warned us that this guy wasn't going to take this loss well. And how many more psychologists have to comment on the fact that this man is mentally ill. Now, I'm not sure that he's mentally ill as much as he is a privileged, stupid white man or orange man.
No, I agree with his niece. The way his father raised him, that there's nothing there. You can't lose, because, that's disgraceful. You can't have empathy for anybody. That's disgraceful. You can't, no. It may not be mentally ill in the sense of, they have schizophrenia or something like that. No, but
right.
There's nothing there.
Well,
there is no education in the man. He's never learned a damn thing. The only thing he's good at is playing a showman.
Right. He went down. The devil went down to Georgia yesterday, and his opening statement was, we won. We won the whole country. How delusional, not only is he delusional, but how delusional do you have to be one of his fans at this point?
Well, Mary says he actually believes these things.
It's crazy. There is nobody around him that I could think of that has the guts to tell him, hey, you lost, start packing. Where's Jack?
He's bashed them.
Well, that's
Which is like the thing with Pence. He wants Pence to overturn everything come Thursday. He's such a great guy, but if he doesn't do it, I won't like him as much. What kind of nonsense is that?
I know. Let me tell you something, having grown up in Brooklyn. He is the typical spoiled bully. And I've been saying this for years. The only way you deal with a bully is you gotta stand up to him, put him down, and then he becomes your friend or he goes away. And yet not a one person, not even his own family. Where are his kids on this? Aren't they saying, listen, Dad, you lost, okay? Start packing and just accept it like a man. But there's nothing.
They're worried, too, because of all the illegal things that they have done. That they'll go to jail.
Right.
But
where is Jared? Where is Ivanka? The latest thing I read about Jared was that he's blaming Kushner for the COVID-19. So how much more could he put on little Pinocchio boy that he expected was going to create miracles and part the Red Sea? And
Mary says anything that goes wrong, he will put on somebody else. Nothing is ever his fault. The people should be listening to what this woman is saying.
Oh, I listen. Well,
I'm surprised he hasn't sent a hit squad out for her.
Right. Well, maybe that's coming. Well, speaking about hit squads, here we have, while all this showmanship is going on, the insanity that we'll have to bear for at least the next 2 weeks, nobody's talking about him pushing against Iran. You know, I don't see anything on the news, as they call it.
Iran.
Right, about, you know, the warships, the flyovers, you know, the nuclear capable ships, you know, outside the waters of Iran. And Iran has actually said that he's trying to fabricate a war with them to hide his own disaster.
Let's hope they're smart enough not to fall for it.
I hope so, too. I mean, the only good thing I saw coming out of Iran is they said that Trump won't be safe anywhere on earth because of what he did to Soleimani. And I'm like, well, maybe Iran will do us the favor that the GOP won't do. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. He has destroyed whatever credibility there is to the presidency, in my opinion, Bev. Now you have him giving out medals of freedom to Nunes and to Jim Jordan, G-Y-M Jordan. So he's trashed that, you know, giving it to Rush Limbaugh, trashed that.
Devin Nunes.
Right. And, I mean, what did they get the Medal of Freedom for? Covering up for him? For, you know, lying while they were being investigated by Mueller?
Meria, he has not only destroyed the presidency, the things he has done to this country, with all the regulations, he's used executive orders to roll back. I mean, and the problem is the corporate media doesn't properly cover that stuff. The land, the water, the air, you name it.
I know, over 300 regulations last I counted, and you know me as an environmentalist, I'm on top of that all the time. And somebody had said to me, you know, Trump is good for the environment. And I said, are you kidding me? Now, if you remember, he just, by the way, deregulated the safety rules for birds. But I also remember when he said he was against wind power because it kills birds. Well, nobody's going to kill birds more than Trump's executive orders.
That's after you get cancer from the windmills.
Cancer from the windmills, inject yourself with bleach. I mean, you know, listen, let's go to the Ukraine, okay? The Ukraine literally voted in a guy who was a comedian, okay? But the guy is not acting as a comedian, he's acting as a leader, okay? You look at Trump, who I never found funny, I never found attractive, never watched any of his shows, and people thought they were electing a leader because, he's a businessman, but he's a failed businessman. Nobody wanted to hear that. And he turns...
There's another problem. The corporate media, again, failed to point that out.
Right.
I said from the beginning, this guy is not a billionaire. And he's a rotten businessman. And he got away with bragging about how smart he was over all those bankruptcies.
Well, he said that he didn't pay taxes because he's smart. Remember that? He said that in a debate.
I'm telling you. Then he goes and kills all these treaties.
Right. Took away protection for
I don't
the
know.
wolves.
I mean, we're not going to get much for Biden, so don't get your hopes up too high.
Well, you watch...
But,
to me, the only place that we seem to get real news is late-night hosts. So I'm going to keep watching Colbert and Seth Meyers and Jimmy Kimmel. And you just look at this. I don't understand, you know, and there's probably no way to understand, Bev, to be honest, how people can still support and defend this man and say what a great job he did for 4 years. What did he really do? We didn't get a health care plan, you know, that great health care he was going to roll out. We didn't get any infrastructure done. We didn't see his taxes, which will be eternally audited. What has he done besides destroy everything and put brother against brother in America?
Plus, he shreds everything he can. So he's got staff, when they manage to grab what he has torn up, they're pasting it back together. I mean, it's total insanity.
Right.
So,
Well, people are saying, when you look at this phone call, an hour long, I don't know how that guy was able to stay on the phone and listen to that insanity for an hour. I would rather listen to a telemarketer for an hour than listen to that phone call. But when you look when you look at that insanity, people are saying, imagine the phone calls we haven't heard, the ones that haven't been recorded, whether between him and Kim Jong-un, him and Putin. I'm surprised that he's not asking Putin for help now at his rallies. So let's go back. You and I go back a long ways. So let's go back to George W. Bush, okay? I mean, I covered him mercilessly because he also deserved it. And Bush was very similar to Trump in one way, because Bush would never, ever admit he was wrong about anything. He would never apologize. And you have the same kind of mental defect with Trump.
Bush wasn't quite as bad that way as Trump. Not quite as bad. Bush had a little bit of education versus empty-headed Trump.
Right.
But Bush never should have been president either.
No, of course not. And at least, I know this is sad to say, but he was more likable. He was likable. People looked at him as a likable idiot. There's nothing likable about Trump. People post every now and then on social media, can you name one thing about Trump that you like? And honestly,
Nothing.
I can't.
No.
If I was a man, I would be embarrassed that he's part of my sex. So I don't understand. So we move along.
Yeah.
Let's move along to the Proud Boys, okay? First of all, I don't know what they're proud of, and the fact that grown men call themselves boys tells you everything you need to know. I see the leader of the Proud Boys was arrested for, I think he was burning signs or something outside of a black church. Now you have the
he tore up a sign.
Right. So now they're threatening they're going to show up in D.C. on Inauguration Day. They're going to disguise themselves as Antifa, which you and I know doesn't exist.
So we can blame this on Antifa, which doesn't really exist, but that's another issue.
Well, what's this young guy, Howley, that says he's going to fight against the confirmation? Josh Howley, is that his name?
I'm not sure now.
That young congressman that was, he's defending Trump and he's gonna argue.
Oh, that one, Josh Hawley. Yes,
right.
yes.
Well, this morning, get this. This morning he comes out with the bullshit that Antifa threatened him and his family and his newborn baby outside his house. What there actually was a handful of peaceful protesters. So here you have another loser.
First of all, Antifa is not a formal organization.
If it is, I'm a member. I would join it in a hot second.
And Antifa is what? Anti-fascist.
Right.
Oh, well, that rarely ever gets said.
I know, but that's, because people are stupid. They can't figure out what it means. But when you look at, the lies and how everything they throw back, let's go, Antifa, Black Lives Matters, all the things that they want us to believe are domestic terrorists, which the FBI still classifies black Americans as domestic terrorists. No word said on the white male domestic terrorist that blew up several blocks in Nashville. Not one word. Who's the real terrorist? Somebody that vandalized a statue or a guy that blew up several city blocks in Nashville?
We are, as you know, in a mess. American people's heads have been so messed with for how many years now?
Right.
And if we can't figure a way to get them to empty that garbage out of their heads and pay attention and work on their own interests instead of handing everything away to the millionaires and billionaires, we are cooked.
Well,
this is what we have to do. it's like when they throw around the word socialism. Well, first of all, the Soviet Union, China, even Cuba, you name it, anybody else who claims to be communist, they're not communist.
Right.
Socialism is not authoritarianism or totalitarianism. Your fire department, your roads crews and that's all socialism.
Exactly. They like that socialism in the Midwest for those 4 to 6 feet of snow that they get when those snow plows come down the street.
Right.
You know, so.
Right.
But you listen.
They mess with people's heads.
All right.
And people can't see that. They buy into it.
Well.
You say socialism and they start to shake.
Well,
this is nonsense.
All right. Well, you could go all the way back to the Rockefellers, you know, and when they set up the public education system, they made it very clear they didn't want to, they didn't want to educate people. They just wanted to create good worker bees. So Americans, you know, slowly but surely, the frog in the boiling water, have gotten less and less education every year. Okay, the education I got when I was a kid, by the time I finished high school, was 67, was equal, I'm sure, and surpassed college education today. We had civics classes, we had economics classes, we had classes that actually gave you something you would need to survive as an adult in the world, let alone we understood how the government works. And no one does now, you know, and I think that's why, you know, when they throw out the word socialism, everybody goes into a panic.
Wow.
You know, oh God, we're going to have to wait on...
Badmouth liberal arts students.
Right.
Liberal arts. Well, people who are liberal arts can think in more than one direction.
Exactly. Well, and look what Trump's done. Look what Trump's done to the arts programs in this country. He slashed them all to shreds. So nothing.
Personally, when I was a newspaper editor, I'd rather have an arts graduate than a journalism graduate, because they could think.
Right.
The journalist, you know, when they teach you in journalism school, I don't know if you've ever been through this, if you follow what they teach you, at least what I was taught, and I had a college-level journalism course in high school.
Uh-huh.
And Journalism 101, when you cover a person in a meeting, you only put down what the person says. Well, it took me about a week or two on my first job to say, what the hell am I doing? So-and-so is saying this over here, and so-and-so said that over there. So I started putting them together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What a concept. Well, maybe that's why I'm good at doing what I do, because I used to make my living as an artist, as a painter. And, you know, when you're drawing from the right side of your brain, you can do that. But our education system is just memorization to pass tests today. There's no learning going on. So when when people say, oh, you know, socialism is the same as communism, and most Americans will say, you know, but, in communism, you got to wait online to buy toilet paper. Well, I guess...
That's nonsense.
Right, but I mean, look at how many people were waiting online for toilet paper just a few months ago, right here in the richest country on earth.
And people don't have enough to eat.
Right. I mean, when you have to say, if you see somebody shoplifting food, look the other way. I mean, how bad is it in this country where, a country that claims to be a Christian nation, have so many people living homeless, starving, no insurance? There are 14 million Americans now that have less health insurance, are less insured than when Trump took office. Remember that beautiful plan he was going to give everybody? The only thing he seems to give everybody is COVID-19. Bev, let's take a short break. When we get back, I want to talk about Scotland. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
How does she do it? Reporting on worldwide news while retaining her sense of humor and passion for life? It's simple. Meria sees everything as part of our spiritual journey here and our unbreakable connection to all living things. From her book, Reinventing the Wheel, to her Reiki book and practice, and her excellent relationship-saving book, Relationships, Cutting to the Chase, one thing rings true: the philosophy of the medicine wheel. Why are we here? How do we stay in balance in a world gone mad? How do we live a happy and prosperous life regardless of the outside world of illusion? Once you gain that knowing, nothing in the outer world can rock your world. Check out Maria's books here on site at www.maria.net and pick out the book or books that resonate with you. Remember, Meria is available for one-on-one Reiki attunements and medicine wheel classes, no matter where you live. Get on your way towards becoming a multidimensional being walking between two worlds. Many have traveled to Arizona to study in person with Meria, and that option is available to you, too. Plus, you get to see one of the most beautiful states in the country. Check out Maria's books, www.maria.net.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking with Bev Conover, the publisher-editor of IntrepidReport.com, where I get a lot of my news that I give you. And Bev and I have supported each other for over 20 years. She certainly can use your support. She doesn't hammer people every day with 12 emails. I need money, we can't make our rent this month. We don't do this, to get rich, but we would like to help in staying on air and keeping publishing, because once Intrepid Report's gone, you've got nothing but garbage out there. And that's just the truth. So I hope you don't mind my saying that, Bev.
Well, there's still a few good ones around.
Yeah, but there are some that I used to.
We've lost so many in the past year.
Unbelievable. I know people I used for 20 years, and when I confronted them, why are you all of a sudden a Trump fan? Their answer, believe it or not, intelligent people that have been publishing for 20 years, said because he's against war.
And some of my best writers keep dying on me.
I've had a few co-hosts do that too. Some willingly, some not so willingly.
I lost Linda Hurd right at the end of November, and I am still devastated over that because we became good friends. I spent 3 weeks in Egypt with her and her husband, and I just can't believe she's gone.
You just got to believe she's in a better place. My mother used to say, there is no hell, this is it. And I used to think my mother was crazy. But you know what? The older I get, the more sense everything my mother ever said made.
Yeah.
So let's go to Scotland. There's rumor has it, and more than rumor, I guess they saw a flurry of flight plans, that Trump was going to escape to Scotland, to his Turnberry golf course that's been losing money for 8 years in a row, and I hope Scotland just seizes his property. Besides the lawsuits he has for wanting to build a seawall to protect his property, even though here he says he doesn't believe in climate change. But supposedly on the 17th, it was flurry that he was going to go to Scotland before the inauguration. Well, this morning, Scotland basically said, no, you're not, because we're not letting anybody into the country because of COVID. And unless you have
I'm just looking at an article here right now about the Scottish National Party leader, Nicola Sturgeon, that he will not be allowed to stay at his Turnberry Golf Resort.
Right. So
due to the coronavirus lockdown.
Well,
they're not allowing people to come into Scotland.
Well, they said unless you're there for a super important reason, and they said that his playing golf, wasn't the reason. So here you have that. So Scotland doesn't want him. God knows New York doesn't want him. And now, unfortunately...
And Florida doesn't want him.
Right, so you're down on the ground in Florida. What's the scuttlebutt?
People in Palm Beach are up in arms over this.
Well...
he signed an agreement. You probably recall when MarALago belonged to Meria Post.
Right.
Remember when that ship beached? She could look out her window at this beached... it was a big ship till they finally got her off Sandbar. Remember that?
Well, barely.
Well, anyway, when he bought that, in order to have a private club, he had to sign agreements that it could never be a residence.
Right.
Do you know he owns 3 more houses on Palm Beach?
No, I didn't. Because what I read was the residents of Palm Beach said there's lots of beautiful homes in Palm Beach you can buy, but you're not going to live at MarALago.
He's got 3 of them. I guess he rents them out.
Jesus. Well, I guess he's going to need one. I understand that his wife, who has the tackiest, worst taste that I've ever seen of any first lady, who destroyed the rose garden. There's no roses there anymore. Who wonders why she's not on the cover of Vogue. You know, years ago, hard to believe as it is, years ago I used to work in the fashion industry. And, you know, either I was working for the people developing the fashions, or I was working in the modeling end of the business. So I had a pretty good knowledge of what is and is not considered good fashion. I have never seen her dressed in anything that doesn't look like she's a stormtrooper from Siberia. So if you expect to be on the cover of Vogue, you've got to really know your fashion sense. And this is what Trump was bitching about over Christmas, that his wife was never on the cover of Vogue. But maybe she should have tried Hustler. I don't even know if Hustler's still in print, but that would be more her speed. So now she goes down to MarALago, and I don't know whether she did it to try to surprise or please her meal ticket, but she renovated their living space, and supposedly he went wild and said he wanted every improvement and renovation she did torn out.
Well, yeah, I saw that.
So
I don't know.
And she still stays with him.
I don't think she's any better than he is,
Oh,
but I'm not going to get into her.
No, of course not. So, okay, so here we go. MarALago, I watched actually a special on it. They have a rules that you can only spend 7 consecutive days there and a total of 21 days there a year. He's been there how many days? He's played golf 20% of his time as president. So he, again, breaks his own rules even at his own club. And my understanding is it's also considered to be part of the historical society preservation. So there's so many reasons he can't live there. If I was in Palm Beach, I wouldn't want to live anywhere near him. It's going to be a 3-ring circus until he's dead. It'll be worse than living near Graceland.
I don't know.
At least
we'll
the Graceland.
Find out after the 20th where he's going.
Well, maybe he'll go.
Maybe straight to jail.
I hope he does. So here's the other thing. Now we get Biden in, and a lot of people saying it's going to be an Obama administration part 2. I don't really care either way on that one. The people are probably right. But here you got Biden saying the same bull crap that Obama said. Okay, let's move on. Let's be forward moving. Okay, there's no way that Bush and Cheney should not have been prosecuted for what they did after 9/11.
I agree with you. I mean, every time that Obama said we can't look back, we've got to look forward, I would...
Well, had he done something about the Bush-Cheney or the Cheney-Bush administration, perhaps Trump might have followed a few laws in 4 years. But since nothing was done there, and then you had, of course, let's not forget the pardon of Richard Nixon, where he truly got away scot-free, and Watergate was nothing compared to what we deal with every day now. If they take that attitude that they're not going to investigate, and they're not going to prosecute him for the federal crimes he's done as president, everything from the Hatch Act to you name it, then we're setting ourselves up to any president can do whatever the hell they want in the future.
Well, there you are. And as you say, you can blame a lot of this on the corporate media. I mean, they've done everything they could come up with to normalize this guy. And now it's, oh my gosh, he's not playing with a full deck. No kidding, Dick Tracy.
Right. Well, they covered up for him to get him in office because, you know how the news is. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, was it Mundras who was still president of CBS about how great Trump was for the ratings?
Oh, you're talking about Roger.
So you see, that comes down to money.
Well, yeah, of course.
There's another problem with politics is the money.
Well, how long have we been hearing to get the money out of politics? I mean, I've been hearing this.
What if we come to a system where the television media has to give the candidates some free time? We limit their damn campaigns to 2 months, and we put strict money limits on it.
I agree. Well, how about getting rid of Citizens United? You know, now the surviving Koch brother says he's sorry that he pushed for that.
Yeah, he's sorry. Tell me another one.
Exactly. And, you know, when people like him say they're sorry, I say, yes, you are.
What about that Alec, which writes all these damn bills and then passes them out to their favorite elected members of Congress or legislatures for passage? How many people know about that?
I know.
ALEC is the acronym.
Of course. Well, you have lobbyists writing the bills for forever, you know. And listen, I said it when Bush Sr. was running for office, okay? At that time, of course, I wasn't as politically involved as I am now. But if you look at Bush Sr. before W. the moron, Bush Sr., he runs for office. Had the media told the American people that his father supported Hitler, he never would have gotten elected.
Oh, well.
Okay? I mean, outside of, you know, Trump's fans today, every American hated Hitler. Okay? Today they revere him if they're a Trump fan. But had Americans been told the truth, you know, told the truth about, you know, even Henry Ford, you know, also a supporter of Hitler.
Right.
You know, so you look at this and then
Charles Lindbergh.
Right, with the Lindbergh kidnapping, which, you know.
These were all the heroes of the day, right?
Exactly. And I've covered that.
I got to tell you a funny one. It's really not funny. Right before Christmas, I got some packages. So I brought them in the house, and I'm starting to open them up, and I looked at this one, and I'm going, wait a minute, this is not mine, this belongs to my neighbor. Well, at that time, the mail carrier came back. Lovely woman, we've had her for years, I mean, we adore her. Do you know she did not know about the mess going on with the post office?
That's crazy. I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, here...
Well, she had no clue. I mentioned to her about Dave DeJoy. I said, he belongs in prison.
Right.
She didn't even know who he was, the Postmaster General.
That's crazy. That's hard to believe.
Well, I'm telling you, this is what happened.
All right.
I'm trying to explain this to her of what was going on. About him having all those sorting machines, which are worth millions of dollars, removed, vandalized, disposed of.
Right.
Not a clue.
That's very crazy because, you know, in my town...
No, unfortunately, there's a lot of people like this.
Well, that's
we're
crazy.
Here today again, we're mentioning names and incidents that most people don't know diddly about.
Right. Well, I know thank God.
And I can find this in my own family.
Oh.
They don't know who these people are.
Right. Right. Well, you know.
They don't watch news. If they watch it, it just washes over them. And this is the problem.
I know.
Going back to what you were talking about of education. They're not being educated today.
Right, and you have to, listen, you can't have a democracy. You can't live on this planet unless you're participatory in it, okay? And that means being educated. I've told my audience for so many years, it's better to know than not know. And just because you're not interested in...
But when I was in school, you had to every day bring in an article from a newspaper and be ready to discuss it.
Oh, I remember that. I remember having to do that. It's also, you know...
Where's the newspapers today?
Right. Today, everything would be on your tablet today. But, you know, here in my town, It's a small town. There's about 15,000 people. And we have a post office with about 6 windows. You know that the people that work for the post office have a gag order on them not to discuss anything, even if you ask. I don't know if you know that, Bev. But they're not allowed to discuss the cutbacks. They're not allowed to discuss the machines, the sorting machines, anything going on with DeJoy and.
I can understand that, but that's okay.
Right. So here we have a post office with 6 windows. There's usually 3 windows open, which is plenty for this little dipshit town, right? And I have a P.O. box, so I go in there often to get my mail. Well, before Christmas, way before Christmas, before Election Day, what was happening, there were lines out the door to get to a window. The one day that I didn't see the line, there's one guy that I talk to at the window when I need to, because he's from back east, so we always have a conversation. I walked in and I said to him, "What the hell is going on?" I says, "Is this because of DeJoy's cutbacks?" And I saw the way he rolled his eyes. He said to me, "Well, I can't say that, but we're not replacing anybody when they retire, and they're not hiring anybody new." So now you got...
Our carrier was not kidding around. Mm-hmm. She had no reason to. We discussed other things, other issues. I even mentioned to her, which she didn't even know about that. Few people do. When you go way back at the time that the post office also did banking.
Right. Well, for how many years has Ellen Brown been saying that would be a solution for the post office and for people to let them go back to banking?
Go back to banking, get rid of the stupid law that forces them to go 75 years into the future on health care for employees they don't even have right now.
I know.
That is what's busted their backs.
Absolutely, and it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. But then, you can have people that work for different factions, like the electric company. Okay. I remember I just happened to be home the day the people from APS, that's the electric here, show up to put in a smart meter on my house. And I met them at the front door, and I says, "Yeah, you're not putting that up on my house." Okay. Interesting, the woman that was with to replace it, she knew all about why I didn't want a smart meter on my house. And she says, "I don't blame you, and we'll leave the old meter there." I says, "You know what? If they're going to charge me $5 a month for that, I don't care." But she also told me that they had told her, she had like 35 years on the job, that she better start looking for other work, because once these smart meters were in, they were all out of work.
Oh, yeah, they're out of jobs. So nobody reads your meter now, right?
No, they still have somebody come, they drive up in a little truck, and they go down and read the meters.
Because they did it here, and that was the end of the meter readers.
Well, it just happened I was lucky enough to be home when they showed up. But she agreed with me on every point I made about the smart meter. And I said, "So you're out here working to get rid of your own job." I said, "And after being a meter reader for so many years, what are you qualified to do? Where are you going to get another job?" And she knew, that she was stuck between a rock and a hard place. And this is American capitalism. They call that progress.
Oh, yeah.
We have less job creation.
People ever ask themselves, because you would probably have to go back to your grandparents or parents to know this, that at one time we had elevator operators in all the big business buildings.
Oh, yeah.
We had floor walkers in the department stores. Mm-hmm. Businesses had real receptionists who answered telephones. How come we could afford all that way back when, but today they can't afford it?
I agree. Listen, you probably remember when I was a kid, when they used to just joke about pay television. Everybody said, "We'll never pay for television. I'll never pump my own gas. There's jobs lost." How many people used to be employed at gas stations? I'll never do this, I'll never do that. And meanwhile, we're paying more now and getting less, kind of like insurance.
Yeah, well, as I said, don't people ever ask those questions? I mean, unemployed people.
Mm-hmm. Well, because everybody's being...
And apparently with enough money that even men who are considered the breadwinners could do those jobs.
Right. Used to have doormen. I mean, some very few buildings left in New York, I know, actually have a doorman who's just there all day long, opening and closing the door for you, hailing a cab for you.
He's also looking out for who's coming into the building.
Exactly. So, everybody's been convinced, and I think we're being mind-controlled into accepting that all our jobs are going to be replaced by robots. And maybe that's true, okay, because we're seeing a lot of that. So then what do humans do? Okay, humans left to their own devices are like leaving a teenager alone in your house for the weekend.
I don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, Bev, I remember, when I was a kid growing up, everybody's father owned their own business. Okay, it wasn't, a multi-million dollar, it wasn't Bill Gates, but the guy might have had a fruit stand, a vegetable stand, a meat store, a hardware store. And then they came along with, the whole job seduction idea. And it was great for a while, and then all the benefits of working for someone else were then totally taken away. Slowly but surely. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what 2021 is going to bring us, but just the fact that I hopefully don't have to deal with whatever Trump is doing or saying every day should make my life a little easier. What do you think?
Well, Biden's got to be somewhat of an improvement. Mm-hmm. If he can clean his head out of all the stuff he's stuffed in it for, what is it now, 40, 50 years.
Right.
And start listening to people like the AOC, we may start getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. Now, he's promised he's going to give people the $2,000. That should not be one-shot deals.
I think it should be monthly. It should be monthly, just like every other country does.
And the nonsense that comes out of the mouths of people like McConnell about giving this money to millionaires. They're not millionaires.
Right, but
those of them who are in debt will use the money to pay their rent, to buy food, whatever else they need. Those who have managed to escape having to go through that horror will use the money to buy other things.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it boosts the economy.
Well, what do you think is going to be the outcome in the Georgia runoff? I mean,
I don't know. I'm not going to put any.
If McConnell stays,
I wouldn't bet on it.
If McConnell
I would not bet on it.
If McConnell keeps his position, I don't see anything changing.
Well, it's not just the Democrats in Georgia. The nuke industry has been pouring tons of money into Georgia so they can keep their damn nukes going, and that is not really getting reported by the corporate media. So, if you're a person that works in one of the nuke plants there,
all right,
you're going to vote, right, to keep them
losing your job.
Oh, I don't know. I won't one way or the other. I can hope that we get rid of McConnell. I mean, I look at that man and I just see evil. I mean, it's just evil. He drips it.
I know. Maybe that's why his skin was turning black about a month ago. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures of him. It looked like he had total body rot happening. But it's like their evil just seeps out of them. And McConnell is the millionaire, the multi-millionaire. And he's been the money man in Congress for years and years. He's the super fundraiser. And his wife and her family, I mean, I hate to say it, but they're a bunch of criminals. Well, I remember.
What about the ship with all the cocaine on it? That's not even talked about.
No, it's not. And that's, people just blow it all over. Here's the thing, though. My son was all, I'm so excited, that the race in Georgia will be over, this and that. And, my answer to him was, how many times are they going to demand a recount of this? I mean, now that Trump's done what he's done, gotten away with it, unless he gets punished, and I hope Biden has the sack to do it, Who's to say every single election's going to go the same way? We want a recount. We want another recount. We want another recount. I mean, I'm sick of it.
Disgraceful.
I know. This is America. 2021. Remember when we were kids and we used to say, wow, by the year 2000, we'll still be alive. We'll be in flying planes, flying cars.
Mm-hmm.
We envisioned, an age of enlightenment and all of this. So we were thinking...
I'm beginning to think every time we go to a new millennium, we wind up with another dark age.
Well, let's hope that we don't. We did get a lot of people of color, a lot of different types of people elected, a lot of young progressive people. And they really need to put the squeeze on the dinosaurs in both parties.
Oh, yeah. And dinosaurs do not necessarily connect to age, because you can have dinosaurs in their 20s, but that's another issue.
Well, I'm not talking just about age, but I'm saying somebody's in their 20, 30, 40 years.
Right. The world has moved on. It's time. We are not exceptional. We have never been exceptional.
Right.
And it's time we look at what other countries are doing instead of sneering at them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing everything in our power to destroy the things that their people have. So there you go.
All right. Well, when people learn the true history of America, it's a whole different story. Howard Zinn pops into mind. And here they are, some schools now deleting Howard Zinn's books from their curriculum. So, they want to rewrite history. It's just like the burning of the library at Alexandria. It's like, wow, I fear for the future sometimes. But then there's hope for the future when you look at the new people, the young people.
People have got to start thinking for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Start questioning everything.
Absolutely.
And then sort it out.
Absolutely.
And stop believing the garbage you're told. I mean, anytime Washington or whatever comes up with a new enemy of the day, the people jump on it.
Right.
What's Iran ever done to us? Nothing.
What have they ever done to
What
anybody?
has China done to us? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
These are all phony enemies.
Right.
It's about time to get over it.
I agree, and everybody thought, this new savior, Trump, was going to be the one to do it. And
right.
He tossed his cookies in with every dictator on the planet. So there you have it. Well, I guess we'll see.
A woman I have been following on Facebook for years, and I will not mention any names. She's an electrical engineer, so this is not exactly a stupid woman, right?
Right.
Right now, she has a little camper van. She is driving from the West Coast to Washington to be there for tomorrow.
What does she think she's going to do?
She is so in love with Trump.
Oh,
He's going to get rid of the deep state. He's going to put all the pedophiles in prison.
Right.
And hip, hip, hooray, QAnon.
Wow.
This is what we're dealing with.
It's very sad. It's extremely sad. I mean, one of the latest things QAnon came out with in their list of crazy things was that Amy Coney Barrett is actually Joe Biden's dead daughter. Now, people still believe in that crap. I don't understand.
Yes, they do.
It's hard. Listen, when you're not mentally deficient, it's hard to understand how people can be that stupid. Okay, gullible might be the right word. They said that John Kennedy Jr. was going to show up and run with Trump in 2024 or 2020. I mean...
Right. He's still alive. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, Lordy.
So... It's just,
Jeffrey Epstein's still alive.
Right.
Have you seen that one?
Right. I mean, it's very sad to see how easily some people can be swayed just because they're too lazy to do any research on their own.
Yeah.
So,
they're
listen.
angry, they're frustrated, So give them a good story and they'll buy it.
Exactly. Well, we'll see how it shakes
and the
out.
real conspiracies are not dealt with.
Exactly.
But the lunatic stuff gets all the publicity.
I understand. It frustrates me too. Anyway, Bev, I want to thank you for joining me today. And I'm looking forward
thank you, Maria.
I'm looking forward to our next chat, because then we'll be under a new administration, and I'm sure we'll still have plenty to talk about.
Oh, let's hope. Let us hope.
All right, you take good
As
care.
I say, don't disappoint yourself. Just take it one day at a time.
That's all you can do.
And keep laughing.
You
gotta keep laughing.
Absolutely. Listen, you want to laugh, you should watch that Netflix show, Death to 2020. It's great. Just watch it. One of my listeners told me about it, and I watched it, and it's quite excellent. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, Bev, I'll talk with you soon. You take good care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Bev Conover, IntrepidReport.com. We laugh because you must. And I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's a crazy world we live in. We'll see what shakes out this week. We'll see what shakes out this month. And I'll stick with it as long as I possibly can. Don't forget, I'll be back with the news on Thursday. Friday, Richie Allen's joining me. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Thanks again for supporting the show. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening and supporting The Meria Show. Tell others what you learned today. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it's shared. Encourage others to subscribe today. www.MarALago.net. Often imitated, never duplicated. A world of information all in one place. www.MarALago.net. Always ahead of the curve. Always on your side. Get active or get radioactive. Subscribe today.